Hi guys, hope you felt confident when you took your stab at the Unit 4 pre-test after all that hard work you've done this unit. So let's go over it, see how you did, and then you can correct any misunderstandings and practice before you take the test tomorrow. So for number 1, we're supposed to choose the only correct congruence statement according to the way the triangles are marked. So this is all about the spelling. So if we look at choice A, it says that angle M would match angle M, and if we look at the two triangles, angle M and angle M do not have the same markings. One has a single arc, one has a double mark, so that's out. Then if I look at choice B, it says L would match L. And again, if we look at those two L angles, this one and this one, they don't match each other. So that's out too. So then if we look at M and M, we already ruled that out. So we know that can't work. So if we look at M and L, MLK, so on this triangle here, MLK, M would match L on the other triangle. And then L on this triangle would match M on the other triangle. Those match. And then K on this triangle would match G on the other triangle, and those do match up. So this is our choice here. It has to do with the spelling and the congruent markers. They've got to match up in order that they're matched up in the spelling. Okay, for number 2, we know that before we make any decisions, we always can mark vertical angles congruent. And so in this case, we have on each triangle, we have 2 sides and 1 angle marked, and the angle is in between those 2 sides, so that is side angle side. Choice A on the study guide. Okay, so number 3, on each triangle we have 2 angles and a side, and the side is between the 2 angles, so we need to choose the S that's in between the 2 A's. So that one would be angle, side, angle. And number 4, always if we see a shared side, we're going to mark that before we make any decisions. And then this one, each triangle has 3 sides marked. So I've got 1, 2, 3 sides, no angles. So that's going to be side, side, side. Number 5, now we don't have anything shared on these triangles, so we can't add anything. We also don't have a right angle, so we can't say that we've got any kind of hypotenuse. So all we have is 2 sides. And there's no rule that just says SS, so we can't tell that these 2 triangles are congruent. They might be, but we don't have enough information. On number 6, we'll add the shared side, and then we know that a 90-degree angle matches a 90. And then we've got another angle matched, and then we've got a shared side matched. So on one triangle we've got 2 angles and a side. And that side is not in between the 2 angles here. So it's not angle, side, angle, but it's 2 angles and a side. So it would be 2 angles and the non-included side, because it's not between them. So that's AAS, angle, angle, side. All right, number 7, you add the vertical angles. And then you notice on either triangle that you have 2 angles and a side. But this time, the side is included. It's between the 2 angles. So we need to choose the S that is between the 2 angles. ASA, angle, side, angle. Okay, now here's the ones where when you first learned them you struggled a little bit, but we made some progress. What additional information would be needed? So we're going to either have to match a side or an angle to prove the triangles are congruent in the way specified. So for the next 2 problems, they're going to give us a way. So number 8, they're telling us it has to be angle, side, angle. We always mark a shared side. That's just a given. So if we look at one triangle, doesn't matter which one, what we have is so far is an angle and a side. One angle on one side. So what we need is an angle, a side, and an angle. And so we're missing an angle, and it has to be in the place that would cause the side to be in between the two angles. So we'd have to make it be this angle here so that we'd have two angles with a side in between them. So this is the one we're missing on the yellow triangle. On the white triangle, angle, side, angle would have to be this one here. So spelling wise, we can't just call these W because they'd both be W. So this one here, it has to have a W in the middle though. It could be HWX or XWH. So let's see. We need a W in the middle. So it's probably this one. And then for the other one, it could be XWY or YWX. So that's that one. In order to be the corner, it has to be the letter in the middle to be the vertex of the angle when you spell it. So if we're talking about XWY or XWH, it means the angle that is at the W vertex. So that one would be B. Let's see. So same directions, but first we add the automatic vertical angles. They're telling me I have to do angle, angle, side. So something's missing. Well, if I look at one triangle, I've got an angle and a side so far. Same on either one. And I need two angles and a side, AAS. So I'm missing an angle. And I need to make sure I choose the one that would make the side not in between the two angles. So I don't want to put the angle here on X because that would give me angle, side, angle. So it must be the other one, this one here. So angle V. And on the other triangle, remember we don't want the side in between the A's, so we want this one here. Angle, angle, side. Alright, so we said V would have to be congruent to E for this to work. So that's not here, V and E, but we know that the middle letter means the corner. So E and B. This one would be XVD right here for this V one. And this one would be CED for this E one. So this is our choice that time. So they could spell it. It could have also been, just in case they had it there, it could have been angle E congruent to angle V, since that's the only angle V in the picture and the only angle E. But that wasn't a choice, so we picked D. And those letters have to be in the middle in order to be the vertex. Alright, for numbers 10 and 11, we're going to say true or false if they can be proven congruent with the given information. So the following triangles can be proven congruent by SAS if angle H is congruent to angle M. So first I'm going to add that to the picture. Angle H is congruent to angle M. So we've got to make sure on these that we make sure we read it, because if there's if, then they're telling us to add some information. So does SAS work now? Let's see. SAS. Two sides with an angle in between them. Looks like it works. So that's a true. Number 11, so same thing. They can be proven by AAS if CI, so that's a side. So let's go find CI. CI, this side, is congruent to HI. Alright, so they told us to add that to the picture. Now we should already automatically know that we should have added the vertical angles, because we always need to do that. It's a given. Alright, now AAS, does it work? Well, I do have two angles and a side. If I look at either triangle, I have two angles and a side. But the side is in between the two angles, so that would have spelled angle, side, angle, this because the side was in between the two angles. So it's not the non-included side. So this one would be false. It would not be AAS because that side would be in between the two angles, so it would have been this. So false for that one. Okay. Now, this is all about spelling, and we have to be careful on these questions. If it says congruent, then it wants you to name the matching side or the matching angle. If it says equal to, we'll have to watch for this. If it says equal to, then it wants a number. Okay, so keep your eyes peeled as we move forward. These all look congruent, so we're just going to match spelling. KL K is the first letter, L is the third, would match what on the other triangle? Hopefully you said side A, M. Now you could draw these if you wanted to, but you could really do it just by the spelling. What would AC match? Well, look at AC, first and second letter. So on the other triangle it would be side KP. So KP. Let me just recap that so you can see. AC are these two letters here. So on the other triangle it would be the first two. Alright, so for letter C, it's talking about an angle. So an angle, a single letter, P, right here, would match a single letter on the other one, which would be this one. So that is angle C. Then on the last one, LPK, alright, so remember now, this could be confusing, but if it's talking about a triangle, LPK, triangle, LPK, then it's rearranging these in a different order. So triangle, let's spell it out, LPK. So the first one, L, would be congruent to triangle. It was the third letter, so we need to start with the third letter here, which would be M. Then we're supposed to do P. So if I put P second, P already was second, so we're not moving P, so C stays in the same place. It still matches C. And then K needs to be the third letter, so K. And if we look at how they were spelled, K matches A, so A goes here. So the same two letters still match. See how K matched A? K still matches A. We're just rearranging the order. P matched C, still does. And then L matches M, still does. So we're just using this order, this new order that they gave us, and saying what would it match in that case? How would the other one be spelled? So it would be triangle, MCA would match. We have to make sure the corresponding parts still match up in the spelling. Alright, now for number 13, this one's interesting. You know how on isosceles, if you have two sides the same, then you also have two angles the same? Well, if you have three sides the same, then that means all three angles are the same, because side, side, side means the triangles are congruent, so all the parts match. So because, let's see if I can show this to you again. You can't just add willy-nilly whatever you want. But because this triangle had three equal sides, that means that we can say that these three angles are equal. So you know what they all are. 9x minus 3. So if they're all 9x minus 3 in there, guess what they add up to? So 9x minus 3 plus 9x minus 3 plus 9x minus 3 should equal 180. So when I add up my like terms, 9 plus 9 plus 9 is 27. And then negative 3 minus 3 minus 3 is negative 9. And then we add 9 to both sides to get it to cancel. So 27x equals 189. And then divide. So if you need your calculator, you could use it. 189 divided by 27 is 7. So x equals 7. All right. Now on number let's see, on number 14. So this one, you have to pay attention to what's asking for. It wants x and angle A. So after we find x, we'll have to plug it in to find angle A. So that's this one. All right. So what we're given is three different angles inside a triangle. So we know that all three of these, if they're inside the same triangle, they add up to 180. So 3x minus 4 plus 9x plus 17 plus 6x minus 31 equals 180. So combining like terms carefully, we've got 3x plus 9x, which is 12, plus 6 is 18x. And then negative 4 plus 17, that's 13, minus 31. So if you want to be careful, 13 minus 31, negative 18. Oops. So minus negative 18 equals 180. I accidentally put equal. So it combined like terms, 18x negative 18 equals 180. So now we're going to add 18 to both sides. 18x equals 198. So if you divide that, you're going to get 11. Double check it yourself. Hopefully you already did. But do 198 divided by 18. You should get x equals 11. So then it wants angle A, and so you're going to plug it in. So 9 times 11 plus 17. So 99 plus 17 will give you 116 degrees. All right? So remember, as you're watching this video or going over your own work, if you need to change anything, pause this. You don't have to go my speed. Make it so that you're practicing it with your own skill level. And so that you can do it by yourself when it comes to the test tomorrow. All right, number 15. Let's see. So you've done some puzzles like this before. Let's maybe start with this triangle, because if we could figure out what this angle is right here, then we know that these two together have to make 90, so we'd be able to figure out this other one. So this one right here would be, if we call that, we don't want to confuse ourselves and call it x. We'll just say if this was, we'll call it maybe m for missing angle. So we'd have 46. You don't have to call it anything. You could do it in your calculator if you want to, but I just want to show you what we're doing. These three, 46 plus 89 plus m, we'll call it, should add up to 180. So 46 and 89 makes, do it yourself, 135 plus m equals 180. So then you subtract 135 from both sides, and you should get m equals 45. Or at any rate, this angle here, whether you want to call it m or whatever, equals 45. So if this is 45 right here, this is 45, and this is 90, then 45 and what would add up to 90? So you could do 90 minus 45, and you'd get 45. So this one's also 45. So now it's pretty easy to figure out what x is, because in this triangle we've got x plus 30 plus 45 equals 180. So you just want to go slow enough where you're not making little errors, trying to subtract everything in your head so fast or do 17 steps in your head. Find each little part of the puzzle, fill it in on the picture, and then do one step at a time, because you know how to do this and you don't need to be in a rush. You have plenty of time, and then you won't make mistakes on stuff that you actually understand. So when I combine these like terms, I'll get 75. And so then I'll subtract 75, and so I'll get x equals 105. So they say not to use the degree symbol, so we'll just put 105. So on the bubbles, I'd put 105, and that's it. Okay, so one piece at a time. Go for the easiest piece first. If you know two angles in a triangle, you can find the other one. All right. Number 16, now I remember doing this one in class on a different sheet. So we got to find x over here, but we're going to have to sort of figure out this first. So one step at a time. Let's see. What we might remember, always, is that the three angles in a triangle have to add up to 180. So if we already have 40 plus 50, 40 plus 50, that equals 90, right? So if we take those away from 180, 180 minus 90, we're going to get 90 left. So this one's 90. Okay. Now this one right here, this one's going to be mysterious to you. You have to use the line rule, which we've just done a few times, and you did it a lot in Renaissance. So these three, this one, and this one, if I added them all together, I would get this straight line right here. And a straight line always measures 180. So 90 plus 56 plus something equals 180. So if I add up 90 plus 56, I'm going to get 146. So then if I do 180 minus 146, I'm going to get 34. So this is 34. Now pause that, go back if you need to. Make sure you understand why that's the case. 34, so make sure it works, plus 56 plus 90 should equal 180. So you can check it. 34 plus 56 plus 90 equals 180. So we know we've got a straight line there. And then it's easy from there because you've got a triangle with two angles in it. You've got 34 and 87, and you just got to find x. So 34 plus 87 plus x equals 180. So let's see, that's going to be 11, 110, 121 plus x equals 180. So minus 121 from both sides. So x is going to equal 59. So now it doesn't want the degree symbol, so we'll just put 59. Put it here and in the spots there, 59. So basically, you've got to remember that the three angles inside a triangle have to add up to 180. So you could take this and check it. 59 plus 87 plus 34 need to equal 180. You can make sure you're right that way. And then anything that forms a straight line has to add up to 180 also. Alright, so when it says find the measure for the indicated angle, it must be a variable, something missing. So we need to find x. Well, we're going to have to figure out what this thing next to x is for us to make a straight line. So we'll have to work our way over there. What we have here are vertical angles, so we know those are equal. Alright, and then we've got isosceles here. See this isosceles, which means these two are equal to each other also. And this one's also isosceles. So we've got a whole bunch of angles that are the same as each other because it's an isosceles triangle, and we've got vertical angles. So if this is 36, this vertical angle is 36. And if that's 36, so is this one because it's isosceles. And then these are vertical, so this is also 36. And then this is isosceles, so this is also 36. So a whole bunch of matching angles. Now, these two, x and 36, they form a straight line here. So they'd have to add up to 180. So if I do 180 minus 36, then I'll get what x is. So you should do that yourself, and you should get 144. 144. Okay, and then remember that should add up to 180 because they make a straight line. Alright, so number 18, each one, don't freak out. They look a little more complicated, Start someplace easy, okay? So look for a vertical angle if you have one. 115 is right there. Guess what angle 4 is going to be then? They're vertical. So angle 4 is 115. So you can't just panic when you see these. You gotta start with something easy and then work your way from there. Alright, then look at like these two here. They form a line, right? So we could do 180 minus 115. And you don't have to start where I started. I'm just giving you a suggestion. Okay. Then, so 180 minus 115 would be 65, right? So this is 65 right here. You can double check. 65 plus 115 should make 180. Well, now these, oh wait, which one did I just cross out? I want to make sure I write it down first. Let's see, that was angle 5. Okay, so put it here, 65 degrees. All right, so now 5 and 2 were vertical. So if that's 65, this is also 65 because vertical angles are equal. So angle 2 is 65. Now all we got to do is find angle 1. There's this angle 6 and 7 here. Do we even need those? Is it on the question? Doesn't look like it. So I'm not going to worry about those. This one over here is not even a triangle. It's a weird shape. So all I have left is finding the measure of angle 1. So it was the first one on the list, but it's the last one I'm getting to. And I guess that's what I want to stress to you. When you sit down to the test, don't just feel like you have to start here because it's first. That might not be doable. You might not be able to figure out this until you know what the other two are. So let's see, 80 plus 65 is going to give us a 145. So then remember, these three make a triangle here. So 80 plus 65 plus angle 1 has to equal 180. And we already know these are 145. So if we do 180 minus 145, we should get 35. So 35 degrees for angle 1. Okay, and then remember, you can test things out. Make sure if that's 35, that all of these, need to add up to 180 right here. And anything that forms a straight line, like these two, need to add up to 180. So do these two. All right. And they didn't ask us about angle 3, so I'm not worrying about it. Okay. Then number 19. So they tell us a spelling, so we know what parts to match, and then complete the statements. Okay, so they're not to scale. Let's see, it wants us to find x. Well, here is where x is, and it's in angle A. So let's look at the spelling. A would match M. Do I have something in M that I can match it to? I do indeed. So 15x would have to equal 60, and then I can just divide. So I end up with x equals 4. So there you go. And I'm hoping that you did the practice test and already filled all this in, and right now you're just going over it and checking it. You can use my input to guide you, but you're not just coming down what I say because you'll never remember it then. So the measure of angle A, well, all we've got to do is plug that in here, right? So 15 times 4, so 15 times 4 is 60. So that's 60 degrees right there. And then okay, so I don't know if you remember me saying, but we have to keep our eyes peeled because equal means we need a number. Okay? Congruent means we need some letters to match it to. All right? So we don't want numbers here. Triangle BCA would be congruent to triangle. This is like a question we did a little while ago. So BCA. So B matches, let's see, BCA. We're just switching the order. So B is second, so it would match N. C is last, so it would match O. And A is first, so it would match M. So we can double check ourselves, and the same thing should match. A matches M, it still does. B matches N, still does. Okay, they're just in a different order. And C matches O, still does. Okay, so BCA would match triangle NOM. It's all about spelling and matching up the corresponding parts. All right, and then side BC would be congruent to, well, BC are the last two letters, so be congruent to NO. All about the spelling. It's where all that Renaissance really pays off. Okay. And then number 20, same situation here. They give us the spelling, and we're going to complete this statement. So Y is here, and so it's in angle N, right? So we got to go look. N would match B. Do I have any information in B? I do. So those match, which means they're congruent, which means they're equal. So 5y equals 30. So divide. So y equals 6. Again, if we have equals, it wants a number. Does this one, think about this, does this one want a number? No. Does this one want a number? No. But this one does, right? So pay attention to whether it says congruent or equal. Angle M is congruent to. This means just match it to something. Congruent means match. All right? It wants letters. So M would match A. They're both the first. So angle A. Now, measure of angle N equals. Okay, this means it wants a number. So measure of angle N, go to N, and it's 5y. Well, we know that y is 6, so 5 times 6 equals 30. So that was a plug-in. And then mn is congruent, so it wants a match, right? Congruent, so mn, first two letters, would be congruent to AB. So a lot of moving pieces all got put together here, and you've worked really hard on keeping all this straight this unit. So use the study guide. Ask for a spare one if you need it to practice with. And then make sure that in addition to knowing how to approach all the problems and where to start, especially on those puzzle ones like number 18 and number 17 and number 16 and 15, make sure you know where to start, and then just break it apart little by little. So in addition to knowing how to do it, you want to make sure you can complete it. So if you're in a single-hour class, you need to be able to do the 20 problems in about 50 minutes. So roughly 2 minutes a piece tops. But those first ones are fast. And then if you're in the 2-hour class, you should have plenty of time. So I'll wish you luck on the test when I hand it to you. Good work.